Welcome. In this series of images, we'll catch a glimpse of some of the myriad Hindu gods. This is but a glimpse, so it's abbreviated, oversimplified. Realize the Hindu tradition, really traditions, plural, developed over millennia in diverse places within India and among diverse groups of people. The divine has therefore been envisioned differently in different times and different places. What follows then is a sampling, an overview. To understand Hindu deities, we need insight into the life world of the Hindu peoples. Yes, in space, the home of Hinduism is India. In time, its beginnings fade into the mists of prehistory, back as far as the second or even third millennium before the Common Era. Its actual beginnings may be much, much older than that. You may read of an invasion of India about 1500 before the Common Era by people from Central Asia called Aryans. More recent evidence, both archaeological and genetic, suggests that the population of India, with its ethnic diversity, is continuous, back at least through the second millennium before the Common Era. So the, quotes, Indo-European culture and languages may not have come into India from the outside. Indeed, the process may have been the reverse. Speaking of time, we need to ponder how we model time. Western cultures use a linear model to interpret time. Time is a straight line that runs for the individual from birth to death, as our custom of putting dates on tombstones attests. In the West, the world's time is a straight line from creation to the end of time. The Hindu model for interpreting time, however, is cyclic. Time runs in a circle. So for the individual, time runs from birth to death, but death coincides with rebirth, the end with a new beginning. The career of an individual soul, the jiva, may run for many lifetimes, for each ending is a beginning. In the Hindu life world, the world's time is also cyclic, so that the individual lives cycle within a circling eon of time called a yuga, and a yuga may last thousands and thousands of years. The cosmic cycle of the yuga also ends in a new beginning, so that yugas cycle within larger circles called mahayugas or great yugas, and those also end with a new beginning, so that ultimately, after billions of years, the entire universe of time is destroyed and begins again. This cycling of lives within yugas, within mahayugas, within kalpas, wheels within wheels, is called samsara, the endless cycle of births and deaths, what the Buddha will call the miserable cycle of births and deaths. Reincarnation is not a blessing. A soul is entangled, trapped in this endless cycle by karma, the moral law of cause and effect, by which our actions stick us to cycling time like glue. Or think of swimming underwater in spirals, trying to break through to the air, but the more we thrash, the more we're entangled in seaweed and dragged deeper into the spiraling waters, in effect drowning in a smothering whirl of endless lives. The soul has to escape this suffering whirl of samsara. The soul seeks liberation, moksha, to cease the spinning, the spiraling. But how? Yes, the wheel spins, but even in a spinning wheel, isn't there a still point? Seek the center. Here, the center is depicted as the sacred syllable Om. The Mandukya Upanishad says, the eternal word, or this eternal word, is all. What was, what is, what shall be, and what beyond is in eternity. All is Om. Yet Om is not a being. Om is a sound, an uttered syllable, perhaps the sound of vocalized breath exhaled slowly in deep meditation. Om is not known. It happens as one attains the Atman within. The same Upanishad breaks Om into three sounds, A, U, that describe the process of attaining the Atman. A is the common state of waking consciousness. U is the second state of dreaming consciousness. Is the third state of sleeping consciousness. Om is the fourth state of supreme consciousness, beyond sensation, in which there is no distinction between I and Atman, between I and Brahman, but all is love. Seek this center. There are four principal ways to the center called yogas. A yoga is a path of spiritual practice, a discipline or method of training that leads to integration at the center. Jnana Yoga is the path through knowledge. This knowledge is not an accumulation of information, rather it's like discernment, penetrating the frothy surface of consciousness to reach its depth. That means realizing that the true self is not the self-seeking self of everyday appetites. The true self is Atman. So to reach Atman within is to realize Tat Tvamasi, that thou art, the ultimate, transcendent, divine reality called Brahman. Karma Yoga is the path through work. Work, and karma as the moral law of cause and effect, can further entangle one in selfishness, or it can lead to liberation and to realizing the self, Atman. What makes the difference? In working, act without attachment to results. Act without making claims for oneself. The selfish self that's entangled by worries of success or failure is thereby shed, starved. So work can, ironically, liberate from entangling karma and lead one to rest in the self, in Atman. Raja Yoga seeks, through physical and spiritual exercises, to purify bodily awareness and penetrate beneath the surface of consciousness. This method integrates the levels of one's being, body with consciousness, then focusing consciousness through tuning out external distractions, then tuning out internal distractions, focusing, concentrating until subject and object of consciousness merge, and the individual subject disappears in pure consciousness, but conscious of no thing, samadhi, the self completely absorbed in the ultimate divinity. Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion, of love, of faith. For the Bhaktin, the believer, the divine ultimate takes on a personal face, an avatar or manifestation of divinity. Unlike Jnana Yoga or Raja Yoga, which seek to identify with the ultimate, seeks identity with the ultimate actually, Bhakti Yoga seeks a relationship with a personal deity, a relationship fostered through stories, divine images, rituals of devotion, so that one can give one's heart and be totally caught up in relation to the divine, focused in one or another of the avatars of divinity. So it is in Bhakti Yoga that the myriad gods of Hinduism are worshipped, personal gods, any one of whom a person can love. The earliest worshipped deity was Agni, god of fire. Fire was central in the life world of primal peoples, and apparently central in the earliest expressions of Hindu culture. Its powerful and mysterious dynamism is radiant and dangerous. Its upward-reaching tongues lift consciousness to divinity. Fire is a bridge to the heavens. Beyond fire, dimly sensed, is Para-Brahman, the nameless, absolutely transcendent, divine ultimate, impersonal or beyond personal, that may be attained in the realization of Om. So we'll use the Om syllable to refer to Para-Brahman. For the Bhaktin, the believer, the creator god Brahma is a personal manifestation or avatar of Para-Brahman, the ultimate deity. Brahma is typically portrayed with 4 faces and 4 arms, depicting immense awareness and immense power. Often he's pictured seated upon a lotus, a symbol of the integral unity of the cosmos. Brahma is a personal god, yet he's remote. He is seldom directly worshipped. For very many Hindus, Vishnu the Sustainer is the primary manifestation of the divine ultimate. Vishnu has the 4 arms of power and holds weapons, a discus, a mace here, a conch, a water symbol linked to fertility, and a lotus, the symbol of the integral unity of the cosmos. The third primary manifestation of divinity is Shiva, the destroyer or transformer. Shiva's cosmic dancing both destroys and recreates the universe. Shiva is usually depicted with the third eye of deep spiritual insight. In this image, his dance squashes an unfortunate figure symbolizing ignorance. In his hands, one sees a weapon, usually, but not in this image, a trident, and a musical instrument. He's also symbolized in monuments called lingams, phallic symbols. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are 3 of the primary Hindu gods. Many consider them one in a special way. They are called the Trimurti, the Hindu Trinity. Yet all 3 are avatars or manifestation of Para-Brahman, the ultimate deity. Ultimately, then, these 3 are one. Another layer or dimension of divine manifestation is found in the female consorts of the primary gods. The divine consort of the creator god Brahma is Saraswati, goddess of knowledge and wisdom, of the arts, music, and indeed, goddess of nature. Along with Lakshmi and Parvati, divine consorts of the other 2 principal gods, she forms another Hindu trinity, both echoing and empowering the male gods. Lakshmi is the divine consort of Vishnu. She is goddess of wealth, prosperity, love, and she is the archetype of beauty. Parvati is the divine consort of Shiva. She is a mother goddess, goddess of power, considered the source of the power of Shiva himself. She's the mother of Ganesha, whom we'll meet a little later. Note the baby god at the lower left, the one with the trunk of an elephant. Parvati's power is destructive as well as creative. Her dark side is also a goddess, Kali, goddess of time, of change, and death. While Kali also has a benevolent side, her wrath is enough to dissolve a universe, and so she is sometimes depicted with Shiva himself beneath her feet, perhaps submitting in order to mollify her. In the Bhagavad Gita, perhaps the single best-known Hindu scripture, the divine manifestation is Krishna, an avatar of Vishnu. He disguises himself as charioteer to the noble prince Arjuna, who faces the dilemma of having to enter battle in order to preserve his people, but in so doing he would entangle himself in the worst of negative karma, the slaying of kin. Krishna advises him, revealing the 4 yogas, and counseling him to act as he must, but out of duty, and act disinterestedly, without attachment to results. In this further divine generation or dimension, the divine consort of Krishna is Radha, goddess of love. and regarded as an avatar of Lakshmi. A Bhaktan, a believer, may focus devotion on any deity, and that deity becomes for the believer the embodiment and presence of the ultimate divinity. As a result, amid the variety of Hindu devotional sects, the progression of gods is understood differently. So, for instance, some regard Radha as prior to Lakshmi. Widespread is devotion to Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, god of the arts, of intellect, of wisdom. Or devotion may focus on Indra, sky god and god of storms, who, along with Agni and some others, appears in the earliest Hindu scriptures, the Vedas. Or Rama, a warrior, a further avatar of Vishnu. Rama holds fast to the Dharma, the spiritual way and discipline, and is known for compassion as well as for strength. Many revere him as the manifestation of ultimate divinity. Or Varuna, god of water and of the seas. Varuna, like Agni and Indra, appears in the earliest Hindu scriptures, the Vedas. It is interesting to note that these early deities primarily reflect elements of nature: fire, sky and storm, water and sea. How many gods are there in the Hindu tradition? Some answer with a symbolic number, 330 million, which translates into numberless, limitless. Yet all these gods are one, a unity in diversity. But each and every one of the Hindu gods, directly or indirectly, manifests the one ultimate and transcendent divinity, Brahman. Hence they are all one. Advaita, non-dual teaching, in the Upanishads takes this unity one step further. Brahman is one without a second. There is only one. There is yet more, a further step in Advaita or non-dual teaching. There is Maya, the phenomenal world itself, and yet a goddess, daughter and avatar of Lakshmi. Maya is illusion, but also manifestation. Think of a scrim screen in a legitimate theater. Lighted from the front, it seems solid. But bring up light behind, and the solidity is seen as illusory, but at the same time, another dimension is revealed. the Svetasvatara Upanishad says, O Brahman Supreme, formless art thou, and yet thou bringest forth many forms. With Maya uniting, thou hast brought forth the universe. Maya, thy power divine, projects this visible universe, projects name and form. Thou, the primal being, appearest as this universe of illusion and dream. So, Brahman, one without a second, is all. Brahman, the ultimate divinity, and the world are not two. Brahman is all. All.